So hello everyone. So welcome to CAPI IBM meeting, bi-weekly meeting that we have. So today is 13th of May 2025. Now we are meeting after 2 weeks. So last time we met, we were on April 29, 2025. So we'll quickly go through the comments that have been merged so far. Okay, so as you can see that on April 29, we merged some of the bump commits to update some of those packages. Post that on April 30th, Amulya merged a PR for bumping the CAPI to 1.10.1. Okay. Post that Anshuman raised a PR to disable the HTTP 2 flag. So Anshuman, maybe if you can elaborate more on this one.
Yeah, sure. So there was a security vulnerability where an authenticated client could DOS the API server. I think it's been a little while since I looked at the issue, but yeah. So the yeah, I think I have added the reference to the vulnerability in my issue. So what most projects and communities were doing was they were disabling HTTP2 by default so that this could be patched. So I just raised a small PR to do that. So it adds a flag that is disabled by, say, enabled by default. So HTTP2, like if somebody wants to enable it, then they can do that via this flag, but by default it's disabled.
Okay, thank you. Going ahead, so there was a PR also raised to update the cloud provider Pavia's commit version. So previously we were using older commit. So now that we are in line with the latest Golang, and there was certain vulnerability. So initially we were just scanning the controller image that we had. So now we have also covering as a part of our image scanning, right? This CCM image also that we built. So as a part of that, we have updated certain packages in the main repo of the CCM to fix some vulnerabilities, and post that we have updated the commit here. And as you can see, we have introduced a new target called build local. So basically, when the scanning happens for the images, it will build this image locally and it will run scan through it. And if there are any vulnerabilities, we will know, similar to what we already do for the control manager. So all the images that we build as part of these projects are now covered as part of image scanning. Next, there was PR that the need has raised to fix the priority between the network and the server. What would take precedence, right?
Yeah. So basically, we try to separate the usage of network and DHCP server fields. So earlier we had this confusion. So when they supply a network fields, then do we need to create the if the network is not there, if we create the DHCP server, then the network name provided and the DHCP network would be name conflict. So because the network created won't have the network name provided by the user. So we had some checks added for this one. So now it is kind of usually like exclusive. Like if we provide network, it would consider the regular network. If we want to provide an existing DHCP network, then you can provide the DHCP server fee. So that is what the validation added as part of this year actually.
Thank you, Danish. I think there is some work that needs to be done.
Yeah, so yeah, Carmen was doing a regex validation for this one. I think maybe we can take that up.
Yeah, so we discussed this last meeting and we want to keep code for now because we are planning that we will another AP version, no?
Okay,
we think that regex should be supported or not. Also, the network name also we decided we thought of going with the ID, right? ID format validation. If the name they provide, if it's not exist, we'll error out. So that also we kept on hold.
Yeah.
Based on discussion. Okay. That's why I closed that issue also.
So yeah, this commit is similar to the previous one. So we have just bumped CCM to use the latest possible commit that we have in that repo, so that we have the latest image. Next, this PR was basically raised to. So we decided in last meeting we discussed that we'll drop the support for the older images that we have and we are hosting in our cost buckets. So we have updated docs to drop some of those older images, as you can see here. So going ahead, we are going to maintain only those images.
Would you really delete them?
No, we did not delete them yet. We have just dropped the data from the docs. Once we do the next release, then we'll start getting rid of the older images. And the way this we are going to do is similar to how we maintain. So we n-2 is what release we support till now. So whatever the n-2 version is being used from that onwards till the main, we'll keep on maintaining those particular images. So that was
Did you mention that anywhere explicitly here in the doc?
no, that we did not mention that. That's for you, but we'll add that note.
Yeah, that's totally.
Next, Kishan released this PR to update the release.md.
Yeah, so it's just a minor PR that covers that the post-release steps, right? I mean, when a release has been cut, I think there's a little bit of documentation that probably covers how we could probably have a closed release tracker. So we I just added those changes there to the documentation so that it's more concrete, like, and complete.
Yes. Okay, so next was this reward additional volumes from template. So what we have observed that after the additional volumes feature that was merged, we included it to be by default in the templates, right, which is used by the CI. So we see that CI was failing because of some bugs which were involved in that. So in this PR, I just dropped them from the template so that by default the template should not use those additional volumes fields, so that we get green in the CI and we get time to figure out what needs to be done over there. So this PR was about that. Okay, post that another bump PR to just update a package. I think this was one of the PRs which Karthik worked on to write certain beauties for the cost instance reconciliation, right?
Yeah. So few functions were missed in that reconcile cost instance method, and we wanted to add coverage for that. So this adds some helper function to achieve the same thing.
So this was some troubleshooting guide which was updated by Karthik to have some steps, right, like how we can debug some of the CCM issues that we have seen. Okay. Next step, bump of another package. Okay, so this PR was raised by me yesterday. So this was basically to revert the support for the additional volumes field that we have introduced for PC machines. So what we have seen that, as we already saw right in the previous one, that there were some bugs involved over there, so we cannot fix the CI in time. We have a release plan today. Probably by end of this day, we'll have a release today. So we wanted to make sure that we do not have the code which we are not sure about, right, in this as part of this release. So basically, this PR will just revert the PR that was merged to add this additional volumes, and we'll take this up probably in the next release once we have done a like proper testing and everything through it, and then we'll try to introduce it. But for this release, we have removed it completely now. Okay. And this was merged today as another package pump. Okay. So this was all the commits that we have worked upon.
And it seems like you already created a branch.
Yes, I already created a branch for release 0.11. So this will be the commit till which we'll create a new drive on. So we'll do that later. Okay, so yeah. Maybe we'll just take a look at CI, how it looks. Okay. So Pavias is having some stability issues over there. So that's why we're getting more reds, as you can see.
Facility always succeeds for a bit. Really, I'm not sure. I think we need to put more effort there and understand what's going on because stability, I mean, last couple of days it's not that bad anyways.
Maybe I think you can
And they
switch
can-
regions, right?
Yeah, already switched. This is London law.
This is London.
Yeah. Sydney to London because Sydney was having those storage issues. Only we have to check which is more stable and. Or what's the concern like? Is it like passing when we run manually or? I have not checked anything like you have checked anything else. Okay. Let's create a task. Yes. Let's get to understand it to spend more time there. It's what I feel.
If you take a look at release 10 also, it's the same thing. I think release 9 will anyways be out of support once we do a release today.
This is pretty bad.
So VPC looks all good, no issues there. And I think the release branches are also showing clean for now. So that was CI.
Can we quickly check before we cut the release? What's going on?
Yes, we can do that. Okay, coming to the issues, so I have already moved whatever. So there were two issues which were pending for milestone 0.11. One was to fix the unknown manifest, so I have already moved it to the next milestone. So we need to create a new milestone for next release. So I'll do that and I'll assign the appropriate task to the next milestone as well once we have the release done for today.
Okay, now we have 0 tasks.
For this milestone, yes, we have 0.
Okay.
So there were just 2 which were pending. Some of them we already moved to next. 2 which were pending. Today morning I moved them to the next milestone. And once we have the new milestone for the next release created, I'll just tag them appropriately.
There are a few ones without milestone. Can I just add them as the next?
Yes, yes, I will. Those were all the issues. I think there are new folks who are there here for the meeting, right? So if anyone wants to bring up anything related to any of the issues which are assigned to them, right? Maybe we can spend some time on that. Like if there is certain issue which is assigned to you and if you want to bring up something, if you're facing some issues or if you are not able to rock it sometime, if you need some help, something, please let us know. Okay.
And Karthik also pointed few pointers to discuss some of those things in this call as well. I think
Yeah. Yeah,
I can do that. Did you mention like?
I think I had agenda also read Slack, right?
Did you add in the agenda?
Agenda I read.
You can add to meeting in same copy.
Future? Okay.
So we'll switch the topic.
Yeah, we'll switch. I think from PR's point of view, we don't have anything that needs to be immediately merged for this release. Some things
Before we go there, so can you check what's the UT coverage we're doing in terms of? Yeah, it's very less.
Yeah, so I think it's 48.5. I think, but that's taking into consideration the VPC part of the codes as well, right? And
Okay, I think there's a scope for here as well. I think maybe you can, if you're interested, can take a look at.
so I think the CAPI IBM medium tool, right, tooling which we have, I think if people have time, they can start adding some duties for that because major chunk of this is covered as part of that also. Right? So if we improve some percentage over there, I think the overall percentage will also improve. Yeah, that's the test coverage. Yeah, I think to improve.
Yeah. So mainly, thank you all for joining a lot of talks today. So mainly we wanted to do that retrospective of the release 0.11 because I think we have a lot of folks who joined during this phase of time with the IBM project, and some of you are contributed, some of you are working on the next release as well. So we mainly wanted to know what's the pain point you faced during contributing to it. So was there any things which blocked you to complete this on time? All those things we wanted to hear. So you should feel free to do it. So we're not asking as a person-to-person question. This is our overall project health. Because as a project, right, Happy Having is lagging a bit compared to other Cappy because they are doing some API version. We have a lot of work here. And the core maintainer also, they're not only focusing Cappy, they're working on some other project as well. So as this team is growing, we want to take help of everyone here so that we can cope up with the project as well and we can continue with our pace. So this is the main agenda for me creating the thread. So maybe Anshuman, if you want to share any things you face or anything related to the work you have done. Maybe in general to the Cappy Agile project you can share. Since you are a new contributor, right? So it will help us to
Right. So like everything was fine. The only like minor thing that I faced, I think, was that my PR sometimes took a while to get reviewed. Happened.
yeah.
Yeah, I think review process needs to be improved a lot, for sure. Yeah, I think let's put that.
Yeah,
You can note it down there as well. The notes it's-
this. I think Bharat is just show interest to project, right? I think we're still exploring on it. Maybe next meeting you should have some things to say.
But how is it like so far? Like I think you are one of the newbie project contribution, and so far, how is your? It's like, do we have all the required thing in place, or like, do you feel like something is lagging, or?
As per the deployment of the cluster, like I tried with the Docker and kind. So on x86 yesterday I could able to deploy the cluster, but with power I need to build few of the dependencies myself. So not I have them. So that's how I think we can.
Okay, so means we need to enhance the scripts or whatever required to set it up on power. I think. Actually,
Thanks. I think Jilpa is known for taking up the complicated work in the Cappy implement. So on the difficult task, usually goes to you.
The main thing I thought was consuming time was testing part. So you have to bring that tilt up and do the cluster up and those things. And the destroy, like for me, I don't know why, it always fails destroy. It doesn't clean up properly with the destroy command, and I'll have to manually do it from the UI. And most of the times it is like the destroy takes for a long time, it gets stuck. And then I'll have to abort after 30 minutes. And then if I retry, it will tell that Cappy webhook service is not responding or something like that. That is what is consuming a lot of time for me. And the next one was when I take up some issues, right, as you told you, the feature ones. I'm not sure like what else scenarios to be covered for testing that. So as you know, I've covered most of the things in the UT, but when I did a real cluster deployment, I got to know that, okay, this 64434 port needs to be added only for that and like master nodes, and it's not for the worker nodes. So those things was not clear for me, and it was not there in the issue description also. So we should have a separate section that mentions like how it needs to be tested, what scenarios has to be covered, because we are new, we do not know the complete thing or like complete functionality. We try to understand only like what the feature is and where to add it and what all would affect. So to get a clear picture, it would be better if you can add those in the description with description, solution, and like what you're expecting to return, or like what are the test cases you probably have to be covering. So that would help a lot, because I think if this had been known, like if I had tested this cluster creation earlier, I would have known this case. So I completed everything, I got the approvals also. Only then I got to know, okay, this is something which I had known. So
do you think like it's a lack of end-to-end test cases, or do you think like a lack of test scope definition while writing that enhancement proposal itself?
yes, one thing is like that a scope proposal is not, and also in the code also we don't find it like this needs to be like you don't have proper it's not like you don't have proper comments like this port is to be added like this, or like there's nowhere mentioned. I didn't know about the 6443 port which needs to be added for only for control planes and all, like all the checks, right? We are not aware. So it would be better for, I think, newbies when we start working on it, right? It would give us a clear picture. And even when it failed, I was not able to figure out why it was failing. I had to contact Karthik to know why it was failing. Only then I got to know, okay.
So was it because not right sort of status is being set for clusters? Like where we're lagging? Like I'm just trying to understand.
I think
What's the problem? Like how can someone can figure out something gets spread, how to debug it further, or how?
For example, in this feature that I took up now, right? So we have some details in the spec for listeners that we're mentioning, like the port protocol and all. But the spec will not have the default pool mentioned. Like the user can or cannot provide the default pool, right? But if you take the listener response from the cloud, you will get all the default pool values and all. So it is not, I felt like the spec and the cloud response was not in sync. And I was not even aware like why it is not having the default pool. To just get the default pool, I'll have to fetch from the spec and then take the port protocol and then match it with the listener response from the cloud and then get the default pool. So certain things like this, I felt like it was not, I don't know how to put
Maybe
it.
the design itself properly
A few
done, maybe.
Yeah, I think with respect to info, we have mentioned those details in the API spec, but it's a lack of the code workflow understanding. Maybe I think if you can create some flowchart, describing all.
I don't know. It's okay. Sometimes looking at the flowchart is also confusing you.
No, the test scope proposal also that would be a good idea because you know what to test and what to do, so that would be beneficial.
I think we can fix a template for the proposal we create.
Let's discuss on the points. I think the pain points, and then we'll discuss how we can enhance these things or how we can fix these things. Right? Maybe let's talk about the problems and the solutions. Maybe we can. I would expect some of the maintainers who can spend some time, like our experienced folks who worked on this Karthik projects, maybe can come up with action items for all these issues, right? Then one more thing you mentioned, right? This tribe will always have issues.
You always have, even yesterday I had issues like.
Yeah, I mean that's bad.
So one of the key point is that the image import. So there is no way to abort the image import. So for example, you are creating something and created something failed. The image import will be going on. So if you try to delete the cluster, the image import should complete, then you should delete, then other clusters will be deleted. So it takes.
Was that the problem?
I think so because even yesterday's the deployment it was not proceeding with that. Image import was taking a lot of time and the machine was not going to the running state. It was stuck in provision state. So I had to debug it, but I had like no idea how to debug it. So I didn't want to retain the setup for the whole night. So I tried destroying it and that had problems.
Okay. I think, but either way, it should not. I don't expect someone to go in the UI and then delete it. Somehow it should get deleted.
And deleting in the UI is also headache. If you delete this, no, here, it is here. Go and delete that first and then come back here. Every like it goes on.
I would ideally say that the cluster deletion should have taken care of.
Some kind of force delete. I was suggesting Karthik, like some kind of force delete that even if the image import or like you are like doing a force abort of the image import, something I don't know if it is available, like some kind of API is available.
Let's say if image import is in progress, we cannot delete it, isn't it? There's no way
There is no way to cancel the image import job when we last checked.
Because the import job and actual import are two different things. The import job, when it gets triggered, right, it gets created and just like a status kind of thing. Once there are two things, image job, when they say import job, right, they just schedule that job and they start the import. Then the job's work is done. But actual import, it happens as a different operation. That's why that gap is there.
We'll have to check what's going on. I think let's put that information, puts that calculate as well.
Is it possible for us to request future to?
Yeah, I think we'll have to see. Exactly. We have to see what's the scope of.
I think this is happening for quite some time, right? So we always have this issue with this during the test drive flow. So we always get stuck up with this image import being not completed and we would wait for half an hour to get it complete before moving to the Power BS.
So it takes half an hour to finish
20 minutes.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes is minimum.
Okay. Another way is to use imported image on this.
Yeah.
Somehow you just need to, for the testing, ease of testing. Right?
Yeah, for testing we can do it.
In that case, if everyone need to use the existing Power stock space with image imported.
Yeah, we have created one workspace which is as a data setup is there.
But that is like it cannot be shared with multiple users, right? So
Yeah.
some people would work on some specific part of the flow and they might want to create some resource.
Yeah, if the resource space is involved, that can happen.
Let's focus on the bug. Let's see. But in the okay, yeah, we'll try to fix that. We'll have to debug. We'll have to spend more time there. What's going on? Either maybe like action as Tarish mentioned, maybe was a request to the cloud team to always came to sort of about the whole like
New API because I guess.
But just a simple delete should just take care of it. Doesn't matter.
But during the image import itself, will we get an idea of that image? No, right?
No.
Okay.
There are like two states that we check when we input an image. First is the job state. The job happens quickly. It will be done.
Can we cancel the job?
We can cancel the job.
And then we can cancel the
Job cancellation is possible.
No.
I think job is the job we can abort, right? Import is different. Import happens later. If you cancel at the job stage itself, right, then it will go away.
Yeah, let's debug. Let's debug more on that. It's a bug basically. Fix it somehow. Okay, cool. Any other points?
That's all.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you have anything on that proposal you have created, right? I think you also involved in creating a proposal for that business. So how was that experience of creating?
Yeah, that was actually good. So again, one more thing, that proposal thing should have been like told earlier so that we could have worked on the proposal and then worked on the code changes. It was like double work for me. I had written the code and then I switched on the proposal.
I think any feature I think
I
we
did-
should do what my take is that for
Yeah.
any new enhancement, right, proposal.
Yeah. I don't know, now I knew, but
I think somewhere if it is missing, I think you need to highlight it. Not sure.
Yeah, but creating the issue.
Any feature thing, proposal goes as a merit. I think they need to make it that way. Not sure how you do it.
Yes.
So let's do it.
Yeah, but proposal helped. Like after in the proposal itself, I got several comments and everything. So entire the design thing was actually finalized in the proposal. So it was easy for me to do. The second work was easy for me because everything you had like cleared and everything was properly like documented.
Yeah,
so it was easy for me to
That's the main intention. Like we need to try uncovering all the problems and then like all the design pointers and then whatnot. So we just want to solve that block.
Yeah.
That when we implement, so we have a clear idea what's going on. Right. Good. I think let's make it somewhere. Some process so that let's make it mandatory.
And the UT part is helping a lot since we have added a lot of UTs, right? So if we are doing some changes, the UT breaks properly. Like, so we are knowing that okay, something we have done is wrong and it is not like proper. So that helps. Thanks for that.
Cool. We need to enhance that.
Thank you.
I think that issue have been contributed, but you're mostly not reviewing the PS, right? So do you have any suggestion for who are contributing, like what to focus on when contributing the first time or eventually? That makes a reviewer's life easier.
Okay. Because like I think now we started writing UTs also. I think I would expect for all the whatever the new things that we are introducing or even a small code changes, I think we have to cover a lot of UTs, like Shilpa mentioned. So I feel sometimes it is we are not writing UTs as much as required. So we might write some UTs like if it requires around like 5 or 6 UTs to cover all the possible scenarios, we might write around like couple of UTs around that. So if we can cover a lot of UTs, that would be great. And that is something. And other than that, we might need to add some comments on the API spec itself. Right? Sometimes that is kind of lacking, is what I feel. And, other than so now I have had some kind of gap in contributing to CAPI, so I might need to get back on CAPI related work. So I'll see.
Yes.
That's all.
Thank you.
No, Karthik, when I'm back from long time, so yeah, I'm just looking at. So yeah, I think I had contributed a couple of minor enhancements in the previous release, like 0.10. I didn't face any major issues that time, so everything went smooth. So probably, like next time I could bring up some points.
I think since you involve most of the time in that fixing the CI issues, all those things, right? Maybe you can share some things. Maybe you require help from the team in that testing aspect also.
But one thing, because since you contributed, like, you could help us improve any area in the documentation because we main core contributors we keep working on it regularly. We don't see it from a new person's perspective. So in some people, maybe the documentation creating test is not clear or what is not clear. It could help us identify that we can fix that gap in the docs or even in the code as well. If maybe add more comments as to understand the flow better. So that. Apart from that, CI, there is a gap we need to add and need to test so that that can help fix the problem which Anshuman faced in involving PR that could have been caught in E2E test itself. So as of now, before creating it, like we need to work on the CI, but at least try to cluster creation once to catch any other errors. Is what I can say. So Manju, what do you plan about this E2E test? I know Raji's working on making it upstream, so that can help a little bit. So, but do we want to trigger it on every PR because it's
Yeah, that we need to see if we can add some optional jobs.
yeah,
we can do that.
yeah. So Anshuman will mention we can trigger it.
Yes, so in some repos, what they do is they have a certain GitHub commands. So if you just comment, then it runs certain tests.
Yeah.
So instead of running it per PR, we can just do it for major PRs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the optional we can have it. Probably we can do that. Yeah, let's try to add some optional tests. Yeah, PR based whatever thing we should add that. Now that we have the community accounts, but then accounts working, we need to work on getting that stuff.
If you're going to add, I think it is better to have two jobs which have existing resources created and up and running. If you want to test the infra-related stuff, then you can have a fresh job.
Currently, flow doesn't support infra yet. We need to add that support as well. And maybe in the next release we can focus on.
Yep.
I think one thing that Danilo was asking for that CAPI test, right? So is that somehow related here or like?
Opposite. Actually, we have to keep since you're working on the tagging feature, right, for the next release. So how was your experience with going to the code base or working on that feature, or you facing any blocking there?
So a major issue I faced with the code, I was fine. Actually, I was able to figure it out what change, and where I have to make the change. The major issue was with the delete flow with me also actually. Sometime I was doing the manual delete from the UI because it was my cluster delete was getting stuck and I was waiting for hours to getting it completed. So just resources are not like there in the resources. So I was like doing it manually, not completing, like keeping the entire night. So I had to delete those things sometime manually. So that thing I have observed.
So apart from it, as are good.
Yeah.
While discussing about this listener issue with Shilpa, I think it just come up. I mean, it just came up among us as well that I think we have to revisit our code once, the design, wherever we can improve. Now that many new contributors have come, they are seeing it different eyes. Like, so why was it just like this? Then I was thinking, like, why didn't we add it like that before? So I think we need to revisit our code and we'll spend some time in the next release where we can adapt because it'll be easier for us as well as the newcomers also to understand it better.
Yeah, I think we should just create issues for all that. I think design issues or design problems or whatever call it.
Now the code has expanded so much.
Yeah, exactly. I think we should. I would say like don't try to express these things, right? I think we wouldn't know that if you don't tell us, right? I think it's always good to give us the feedback. Stream is required.
Another new feature right now, I feel like it's going in as a patchwork of the existing design. Again, you have to it's going just adding up the whole mountain of rework. So
Yeah.
and right now I feel it's usually focus on redesign it to be easier instead of doing this patchwork.
That's the feedback from Mula. I think we need to revisit the code design.
Sometimes I am getting confused, like why did we add this right?
It's a valid point.
Yeah, I think, hey, Karthik.
Yeah. Nothing much from my end. I think last release I was able to contribute a little more than this time. I'll make sure I plan my activities better so that I can contribute more here. Yeah, nothing much. Like issue-wise, I cannot highlight anything. One thing I felt is when we have an issue, like maybe the one the issue I was working on, the release regarding the regex expression. I think we need to. Is it normal that we reach out to a specific spoke and clear it out, or is there like a Slack channel? Maybe we can just directly raise the what our issue is, such that everyone can try us there, or do we just do it on the ticket? Can you just tell me what is the process here?
Yeah, I think first step would be in asking the issue, otherwise creating a Slack thread. If none of them clarified, I think directly presenting it to this community call should be the easiest way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think let's use the Slack effectively. Let's use more Slack. Let's use the Slack public channel. Use GitHub issues. Let's use them effectively. Also, let's use this sort of slot also. Like, I think we can come with some questions or topics we want to discuss and all that. I think let's use the all these channels.
Sure.
And then,
One thing I would have tried is the use of that Slack channel, right? I think we can use it more actively even for
Yes.
reviews. Like some of the times you push something on the PRs, and it might take us time for the reviewers to get back there, and when they check again, go through all the PRs and they review, right? So if you want, like if you have some query or something that you bring up, just start a thread in the Slack channel, tag the reviewers so they can take a look. If they have some review comments, they can. It will be faster on the thread itself rather than doing it on the PR. Sometimes if it's a minor commits or all those things, right? So
Sure. Okay.
if you have any queries also regarding what needs to be done, what is this issue, you can directly start. You don't have to assign yourself, but you can start a conversation in Slack and ask what needs to be done, what needs to be covered, how we can go about it, and then you can take the resolution.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Karthik. Yeah, I think that out of the retrospective of this 0.11 release. So I think next we need to have a next meeting. We need to discuss about the next release goals.
I think that and also we need to provide some sort of action items for this to like retrospective points, right? We need to have some plans. I think just keep on telling, like just talking about problems doesn't help. So I think we need to have some solutions also for that. I mean, I completely agree on some of these pointers. What we mentioned here, I think we need to definitely work on. Example, like we need to have more reviewers for the code. I don't know how, but yeah, maybe we have to. I mean, I would say like if anyone of you doesn't mean that you have to be like approver or like reviewer part of the community, like and then whatnot. I think you can still go ahead and then look at others' code as well. I think if you feel like something is not properly written or like please do it. I think we need people. Like we need not just contributors, we also need people in terms of reviewing code as well. And so make sure we all help each other. That's how you grow the community. So I think I completely agree. We're lagging there. I think some of these PRs will take weeks or even months or sometimes to review. You understand? So yes, but let's try to be active in both ways, contribution and review, so that I learn others.
So regarding the status update, right? So what we have decided is that this meeting happens once in 2 weeks. Every Monday around 2 p.m. we wanted to have a huddle. Like whoever assigned the issues for the release, they need to show up and update the status. This is because we have seen a lot of issues being dragged into the couple of releases. people will get assigned the issues to their name and they won't get time to work on because of various reasons maybe. So we as viewers or someone maintaining the project, it's difficult for them to look it. So they need to go again and check with the status what's happening, right? Then they have to be assigned to other folks. So it's a tedious job for both the Zeni and the maintainer. So what we thought is we'll have a huddle 2 to 2:30 every Monday. So they who are assigned the issues, they will show up and they will tell the updated status if they are say, facing any blockers like that. So it saves a lot of time for everyone. Also, when being the issues, I think we need to make sure that we'll be able to complete it with the time or do an extra time. That will also help us to better plan the project. So that one thing we have decided. I think after the last week meeting action item.
Cool, makes sense. How do you want to do it? Like, do you want to have some Slack you'll create huddle, or like how do you want to do it?
Yeah, I think we thought we'll use it upstream channel.
The Kubernetes channel what we have already.
I think if someone can't make up to the huddle, they should be able to update the issue itself directly. So, every Tuesday we meet, then we can say the time also looking at the issues and their status. So that time we can utilize on something else.
Yeah. So let's have maybe I don't know how you schedule it, but let's have some sort of automated way of doing it. Like we don't miss it.
Yes.
Cool. Makes sense.
Another agenda I had is the CAPI release. So upstream CAPI is again doing a lot of API changes. Right? So it's an enhancement proposal they have done, and currently they're actively working on it. I think they're duplicating most of the methods and adding those things. I think we need to adapt as soon as possible to give early feedback. So if you can give feedback, it will be easy for them to note. So it will be easy for us to in future to get some more features we want to get into CAPI. So I think they will welcome the early adapters. So I think CAPI is the one they are actually working aggressively on that. I think we are also doing it, but we need some more efforts, some more volunteers to take it up. It's not an easy job, but it needs some time. But we need to do it.
So maybe if you have plans, maybe you can create an issue and then put more information so that people can contribute. Cool.
Yeah, those two things from my side.
Good. Anyone else?
If no other topics to discuss, I think we are done for the day. So just an update that we are planning for a release today. So you will see the notification or a message in the channel once we are done with the release. Okay. Thanks all for joining. We'll see you in the next community part.
Thank you.